Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, as the case may be, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining us for our second Alexa APL Power Hour. And I have to get used to looking at the camera instead of at myself on the screen. That's just, hey. Good morning, Trade Lass. Good morning, Zella.bay, or however we pronounce that. I'm going to go with Bay, like Salt Bay. So, uh, anyway, we've got a lot to cover today. So let me show you what we're going to be talking about today, and then we'll get into it because it should be a lot of fun today. So I am going to go to my second screen, and here is a little thing I just cooked up in good old Inkscape with a little bullet pointed list of what we're going to be doing today. So the first thing we'll do is we'll run through Austin Vox's blog post on APLA 0.91 beta, which has introduced a couple of new features that are going to be very useful. We will then go into looking at APL Ninja, and we've got Alexander Martin on chat with us. All right, Zella.be. So with that, Zella is just Alex backwards. So would Zella.be be Alex in Belgium? I'm sorry, Frank Programmer. We do it so that we can meet as many needs as possible. So we will do that. We will look at Alexander Martin's APL Ninja, which is going to be really awesome. And we're going to do our new feature, Dissect a Demo, where we will actually dissect one of Alexander's demos from APL.Ninja. And then we'll end with community Q&A. And this is great because although sometimes we ask one of our engineers or one of our product managers to come in as a guest expert, I have an amazing array of guest experts here in chat because we have some really wonderful community members who are really knowledgeable and will fill in all the huge gaps in my knowledge of APL as I'm still ramping up to expert level. So that's cool. All right. We'll just put this up. So people can see Alexander's explanation of why he is Zella.be. So there we go. Now, let me do one other thing. I want to put this into the chat. And, oh my. Oh, no. I forgot to remember the URL for our Slack. I believe. Does anybody remember the URL from the Slack from last week? If you do, throw it into the chat. I'll see it even if it's suppressed. But yes, I forgot to write it down and I haven't used it in a week because it's only for sharing with you. But I will find it if I have to go looking for it. There we go. That's what I thought it was. All righty. I'm going to highlight it right here. So this is the link to sign up for our Alexa community Slack. And we will be carrying over our community Q&A from here to the Slack after 10 a.m. for about another half an hour. So everybody can keep posing their questions if there are any. And we will have some fun with that. So if you're not a member of our community Slack, join, introduce yourself, and join us in the APL channel on the Alexa community Slack later today at 10 a.m. or right after this stream. So I'm going to unhighlight that, but I hope everybody has gone in a separate window and started signing up if they're not already. And let's close out close without saving. Let's close that out and let's hit the Alexa Skills Kit blog where we have Austin's really cool demo blog about the new features in APL's for audio or APLA 0.91 beta. And these are the duration property and the repeat filter. And these are really cool because what it does is the duration property lets you set the duration of one sound to be clipped to its parent. So here he gives the first example with trim to parent as a duration property value. And here we have a 7-second audio component, which will be trimmed to the length of the 6-second speech component. And we have this here. And what I want to do is, these are functional code. So what we can do is just copy this out and well, let's copy that out. Let's go over to our APLA authoring tool, and we can replace the default demo with this code, and we can preview it. And so the preview actually makes an audio file that you can listen to, and I will play that for us now. So that is, I'm going to lower my volume here a little bit on the computer volume so Alexa's not shouting at us. There we go. So this is pretty simple. You can't hear the audio. Okay. I think I know why. Just a moment. Now you should be able to hear the audio.
In Seattle, it's 48 degrees and rainy. If you're headed outside, I suggest a rain jacket.
Could everybody hear that now? That worked, yes. So I have like this whole sound mixer, and I had forgotten to set my computer audio to the sound mixer as the output. So I really need a more extensive checklist for prep here. But there we go. Technical issue solved very quickly. And so you've heard that. And if we were to go to the sound bank and listen to the rain sound, it would be 7 seconds, but Alexa's speech is only 6 seconds. And what we can do even there is we can shorten Alexa's speech. And we can regenerate our sound. And it will still trim to just Alexa.
In Seattle, it's 48 degrees and rainy.
So that's pretty awesome. We don't have to then listen to another 4 seconds of rain sounds. Hey, Bondad. So Bondad asks, is it APLA Day? No, it is not APLA Day, but we are doing an APLA segment because we just released a couple new features in APLA yesterday, and I wanted to show them to you. So we'll get off. Let me turn off Bondad's comment, and we will continue on through. We'll continue on through Austin's blog post. And so, this is a good question right here, which is, why is it called trim to parent if it's trimming to its peer? The duration of any parent component matches the duration of its longest child component. But since we have set the duration of the longest component to trim to parent, then the next component will become the longest component, technically the longest component in the composition, and everything will trim to that length. So in this, the trim to parent does it when the audio is shorter than the weather forecast. So we'll grab this. Let me just copy the, yeah, last time I highlighted it and then I'm just like, why? Why? I have the copy code buttons that we so handily provide. So we'll put this in, we'll generate, and we'll listen.
In Seattle, it's 48 degrees and rainy. If you're headed outside, I suggest a rain jacket.
So let's go back to the blog post. Okay, so in this case, we're not getting the sound the whole way through. And that way we have our repeat filter so that you can repeat an item. So I like this with Austin's. This is, I'm going to warn you, this is going to be a little annoying for some of you, but especially those of you who have lived near one of these animals.
Rise and shine.
So as you can see, we had the repeat, and the repeat is the number of times beyond one to repeat it. So it's a little unintuitive, I think, but this is the way they've implemented it. So if you want to repeat it, if you want it to go 2 times, your repeat count is 1. It's it's that plus the first action. So we've repeated the rooster sound twice. Now, if we go back to our blog post, we see how this works because we can use the repeat and the trim to parent. And it will run the rain for as long as it needs to. Now you notice here, repeat count equals -1. We set it up here, and then we talk about it up here, and then we bring it in again here. If you set the repeat count to -1, it will repeat indefinitely up to the 240-second limit for a speech item or for an SSML item. So here we're going to set the rain to a -1, so it will repeat for as long as it needs to with the weather report. And we can just grab that. Let's see here. Grab that. Bring that in. And now we get this, the last one we did where the rain cut off a little bit before the weather report was done. Now it will play all the way through.
Rise and shine.
Oh, I forgot to re-render it. See, you got to remember that re-render step, the refresh step.
In Seattle, it's 40 degrees and rainy. Outside, I suggest a rain jacket.
So that works. And we can even show that works even better with re-render.
In Seattle, it's 48 degrees and rainy. If you're headed outside, I suggest a rain jacket. Keep your little toesies dry.
So we can extend the rain as long as we need to fit with our lovely weather report. So that makes a real difference. And you can repeat, especially with looping music. Let's say you have a 10-second loop and you're going to have speech or other audio of varying lengths playing over that 10-second loop of background music. You're really going to be able to match them together using the repeat and the trim to parent. So these are 2 great features for APL for audio that really help you sync up everything tightly and get a real professional feel. So, okay, we just have this. We have this. So Alexander experimented with the fade out filter and said it doesn't seem to work with the trim to parent property. So I am going to share that with, oh, I was going to share it with Austin, but hey, Austin is in the chat. So I don't need to, but we will hold on to that. And Austin will share the template in the Slack. So once again, alexa.design/Slack. Sign up for our Alexa developer community Slack. Go to the APL channel and you will find some really great discussion of APL. You will find some really great discussion of, buyer community members helping each other solve their issues with APL. It's, I love this community. I'm so glad to be working with all of you because your enthusiasm and your generosity inspire me. So, and that's not just me, that is honest. Okay. So we've talked about the new stuff with APL and we're talking about Alexander Martin. And so what we are going to do is we are going to introduce APL.Ninja. Now, before we do, I asked Alexander if he would come on as a guest, but he does not speak English as his first language and didn't feel comfortable coming on live for an interview. But he did give me some information about the history of APL Ninja, and I am privileged enough to share it with you. So essentially 7 months ago, the first version of the APL WebView host was released, and after the release, he built a small tool as a gimmick to help developers preview their documents. And since he enjoyed working with the WebView host, he wanted to build something bigger. And the basic idea for APL Ninja was born to solve some problems he felt he saw. One of them was that APL doesn't have a great showcase site to really show developers the power of APL and what they can really do. And he felt that having that inspiration would really help developers adopt APL more and feel more enthused about it, which I think it's helping with. And I think it's a really awesome, this is a community member doing this. Like I said, they are generous, they are helpful. And it was just a great idea. And additionally, some people who were sharing their APL were sharing them in GitHub, in documents there. And so if you wanted to even view it, you then had to copy it out of GitHub. You had to put it into one of our authoring tools or even into a skill so that you could actually view it in a simulator. And so he decided to create a CodePen or JS Fiddle like site for APL, and it has turned out great. I forgot to bring in one of the most important points. He has added community features. You can actually like and share. You can like, share, and comment on some of the APL documents that people are sharing. So I really enjoy that. So let me bring this back out of full screen. And I'm going to go to APL.Ninja. Put it back in full screen. Yes, leave site. Okay, so we'll put it back in full screen. And I'm going to scroll down here. And this is, oh, hello. I think I logged in on a different browser. That's okay. I don't need to do a whole lot. But one of the things that I think is really interesting is Jeff Blankenberg has this 3D pinwheel animation for his personal broadcasts. And Alexander did this colorful 3D pinwheel simulation of Jeff's pinwheel. It's not 3D, but it's really cool. And I wanted to walk through this as we do a new feature called Dissect a Demo. So as you see, let me make this larger. As you can see, Alexander says on a real device, the spiral is centered on the screen, and I can confirm that, and we will see that. We can actually see it right now. If I go here and wake up my fire cube, Echo, open pinwheel me.
Welcome. You can say hello or help. Which would you like to try?
So I brought Alexander's document into our standard Hello World and just threw it into the...
I don't know about that. Please try again.
And I threw it into... Echo, stop.
Sorry. Goodbye.
So I threw it into the standard Hello World and the launch intent. You are falling asleep. Yes, you are getting sleepy. When I snap my fingers, you will be completely asleep. And then I'm going to coach you into all making amazing APL documents. This is not the APL Power Hour. This is the APL Hypnosis Hour. So this is pretty cool. And we see, hey, that we can not only download the code, download the document, we can open it in the editor and actually look at the code, and we can even edit it. And so what I want to bring in here is that Alexander is using Alexa Vector Graphics, which is sort of a subset of SVG, or Scaled Vector Graphics. He is creating a group of different objects, which are your stripes here. And so you can see that he's doing each one a different color and setting it in a particular place. So that was probably a lot of calculation. And we get through that and we have all the stripes here. And then we have in the items, we have the group, we have a transform, which is rotate data 1. And data 1 is actually going to be a number based on a time tick. So we come down here and we have in the main template. So we have all this up here in our graphics. And then we have a time tick down here in our main template, which brings in rotation. Where are we setting rotation? Trying to... Oh, you know how it is. It's like when you've written code and you're like, okay, where did I put all this? But essentially the rotation is coming from the tick. Okay. And essentially what he's doing is we're taking that tick, we're dividing it by 0.15, which is about, over, and then the mod over 360. And that's going to set the rotation. So the cool thing is that we can speed this up by increasing the rotation plus. So if we do it to 25, and you see that when we make the change right here, it is immediately, because it's hot linking. I mean, it's hot refreshing the animation. So we do that. We do 35, and I'm going to leave it at 35 because, if we were to go into it any deeper with that, we have some It'd probably make you nauseous. I can do it real fast for like a half second here. Yeah. Yeah, we don't want to do that. We don't want to have that running in the background for too long. And so I'm gonna, we've got Alexander is here on the oh, Alexander, so I'm looking at our chat, and Alexander said created the graphic in Inkscape and only copy the paths values into the APL document. Oh, that's very cool. Yeah, it was interesting. One of our champions, Arjun Ganesan, has created a couple of SVG to APL converters, which I used, but I found that I had some problems with. I did text groups, and I had some problems with the scaling on those. Did you have any problems with the scaling when you copied your? Doesn't seem like you're really having any issues with the scaling here. I'm going through the content here. So I can bring this up at least like one tick larger for the text if anybody needs it more readable. So never had scaling issues. Yeah, I don't do an ASMR voice. I don't know. I don't know there. So yeah, that's a good question. Because we are doing it at 1,000 by 1,000 here. And we're setting the pivot point, which is the point around which it would turn at 500 by 500. So can we show how to create a pattern and scale it to fit? Well, I have not copied paths directly out of Inkscape, but I do have Inkscape, so we could do a little something, try it live. I promise you it may not work. It may be just just terrible to watch. But I think if Alexander is willing to coach me in the chat, we could do a little something. What do you think, Alexander? You up for it? And now I have to wait 3 seconds for the delay on the streaming. Yes. So yeah, Alexander says the graphic is 1,000 by 1,000 px, and the rotation takes place around the center pivot. Honestly, we only have like 10 minutes left before we go to community Q&A data-driven skills, but I'm going to highlight this. And how about next week we actually do this? We do dissect a demo, and we will actually put that together. So I will put together that demo, and we'll work with it. We'll mess around with it, and we'll have that in next week's episode. That way we've got a little more time to do that. So, but thank you, Data Driven Skills. I'm actually going to take a note of this right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this out. See if I can copy these. No. I'm typing this as a note to myself because we will get to this next week, because that's what this is about. The APL Power Hour is really about sort of testing and playing and looking at stuff in APL. So this is a great request, and I'm happy to indulge it. We just don't have enough time left today because we're going to go into some Q&A in about 10 minutes. But I am So I promise, data-driven skills, we will have this next week. Um, and so one of the things that I wanted to do is I wanted to play around with some of the properties and just sort of look at what happens with this. So, it's not centered here. It's centered when we do it live. But what if I change the pivots to 250 by 250? That's wow. Okay, I'm liking this. Sort of reminds me of those fractal generators in the 90s. You can get some pretty psychedelic effects. So I wonder, how far does it extend out? If we keep it at 550, we're still sort of rotating around a point. We are still getting a little bit of the clip of the length, not reaching the edges here and there. But, this is Lady Labs. Seasick now. Where's the horizon? Okay, I will stop messing with everybody. Right there. Centered. So does anybody else have a suggestion for something to change that we'd like to see how that works? I'm sort of like, I find this interesting. So if we set our width to 8,000, does that? I'm guessing height to 8,000. Nothing. Aha. That's interesting. Can I scale it to fit the device? Yeah, you can. One of the things that you might want to do is, I think probably it already does. Um, if we go with, we can check it on other devices to make sure it's still fitting. Now here, this is the hub landscape small. Now, I actually have a hub. It's not going to reach the camera. I actually have the hub landscape small. Wait, is that? Yeah, I have an Echo Show 5, and it was perfectly centered when I ran it on my Echo Show 5. Yeah, so there's a bug in the view host, so it looks off center, but this ran perfectly in my Echo Show 5 without any alteration, and then it ran. There we go. I have so many monitors on this. Sometimes I will accidentally go off screen so far that I lose my mouse. So this did run perfectly on an Echo Show 5, but we're seeing that TV full screen would be, let's see, can we see the entire pinwheel? Hub round. It's perfectly centered in the pinwheel. So yeah, I don't have an Echo Dot here to actually try this out on. I've tried it out on Fire TV Cube. I've tried it out on Echo Show 5, and I've tried it out on Echo Show 10, and it works great on all of those without needing any special adjustment. But we can always go into scaling and doing more responsive stuff with your scaling in another episode, because that is a great topic. And I had to do it for, let's see here. There was something I was working on, and let me go into this. And Echo, open quick dives.
Welcome to Alexa Quick Dives. Would you like a menu of our demos, or would you like to search?
So this was something I was working on. And as you see, we do have that moving ocean. And I had to do a bit of scaling to make sure that this stayed in the right approximate places. Okay, I have to interrupt myself because Gold Zulu just challenged Alexander to make the pinhole open up and close like an iris, like in James Bond. Also, the iris in front. I'm going to go real geek on you. The iris in front of the Stargate on Stargate SG-1. Now that would be quite the effect to have to do a Stargate with the ripples, the watery ripples, and all that sort of stuff. And Alexander has said challenge accepted. So we will see if Alexander pulls this off. I hope, Alexander, you will let me know when this is done because I would love to show it off here. And if we want, I can always go into the that quick dives animation. Echo, open quick dives.
Welcome to Alexa Quick Dives. Would you like a menu of our demos, or would you like to search?
That's interesting. Yeah, sometimes the Fire TV cubes don't work exactly like you expect. So I will look into that one. And Alexander is saying that there is a water ripple effect on APL Ninja. So let me grab this and bring it over into here. Okay. Touch or swipe the screen. So do you have touch effects here, or do I have to bring that into a document or into the simulator on in the authoring tool? So let's see here. So you can touch the screen on the page. Oh, the water ripple effects there. See, I have this going on whenever I click control so I can locate my mouse. And so I was like going, wait, is that my mouse locator? But we have rippling waves. Sorry. Go here. Okay, so this is the rippling waves. I was doing this to find my mouse. And so when I saw this, I thought it was just a variant on that. I didn't realize that was the effect. It is following your touch with those fading ripples. That'd be cool. Let us go also. There we go. I don't have clickable links in the main streaming control, but I do have it up there in the Twitch chat. So let me see the beautiful waves. Calming waves. That's a nice effect there. That's way better than my simple just moving humps. But I am not a graphic artist. So, wow. That is pretty awesome. So this ends today's run with APL Ninja. We are going to come back to APL Ninja a lot on the APL Power Hour because this is a great way for you as members of the community to share your cool APL documents, your cool APL designs, your cool APL experiments, and then we can easily bring them up here into the APL Power Hour Twitch stream and really sort of have some fun together and look at this. And I'm really stoked about it because I think that this is, just a great tool, and I really appreciate Alexander creating it, and I really appreciate the community taking to it so well. And it's going to figure a lot in this APL Power Hour. We're not going to be able to make this nearly as entertaining without it. So when you have cool demos up here, share them with me at Let My People Code on Twitter or hit me up. Where else am I? Yeah, I'm pretty much on Twitter. So, just share them with me, either tweet them to me or DM to me at Let My People Code on Twitter. And we will, I'll take a look and see if it's a good one to add to our next APL Power Hour, because we are going to be looking at a lot of these. There are so many cool demos here, and it just keeps growing. And I'm going to close this. I'm going to close this. And I just wanted to show get out of. Yes, I want to leave. I want to come back here because I want to show that there is a like on this. There is a comment on this, and there have been 4 downloads. And I wonder who put the comment on. Let's go find the comments. Wow, there's a comment from me. So, I am just enjoying this site so much, and I don't want to sound like a rah-rah cheerleader, but thank you again, Alexander, for creating it. We are going to be talking about it a lot. So now it is time for community questions and answers. And with this, I will try to answer your questions, but also I'm going to let the community have a whack at them, because we have APL experts who have been doing this way longer and way better than I have, sitting here in the audience on the chat. So get your questions out here, and we will go until 10. And then at 10, we will go. I'm going to scroll all the way up in my chat to find this. At 10, we're going to go over here. If you are not signed up for the Alexa Developers Community Slack, please sign up. It's a great way to talk with your fellow Alexa developers, skill developers, APL developers, content developers, the whole 9 yards. And there is a dedicated APL channel, which is where we will be hanging out, #APL, on the Alexa community Slack from 10 to 10:30 after this stream. So let us start the Q&A. So now I got to scroll all the way back down in chat. Does anybody have an interesting question that they'd like to ask? Or even a demo they'd like to share that's on APL Ninja? We can do that as well. If not, I can tap dance, or I can sing, or I can do bad celebrity impersonations, or I can just do my announcer voice. Was it? Yeah, I've got a thing that I've been working on with APL demos that I can share my announcer voice. I did an announcer voice for it. So I'm going to go look for that while I wait for you. How do people load their APL documents in the code? Gold Zulu wants me to do my Kermit. So we'll hold off on that. But how do people load their APL documents in the code? And that is covered in our docs are here. And let me I'm going to pull up that documentation page, and then I will share the URL in the chat. To use a render directive that you add, render document directive, you add to your code. And this is like really big here, but let me see if I can, yes. So you know what I'm going to do here is, rather than do that, I'm going to go to my code here that we just did to show the pinwheel, right? And I am going to go, I'm going to bring up my second screen. I'm going to bring up my second monitor here. And so right here, I'll highlight it for a second and see if I can make it a little bigger. And we'll bring that out there. So with this, you notice how you have the response builder dot speak for speak, and your whatever you're going to have Alexa say. With the response builder, you add a directive, and the type is Alexa presentation, APL render document. And then your document can either be some JSON that you preloaded, which I did here, or it can be a link to a JSON document online, such as one that you built in the authoring tool, or one that you're hosting somewhere else on S3 or on your personal website or whatever. There are a lot of other things that you can do here, because you can add data to bind in so that your screens can be showing. You can have one template that you're throwing different information to every time you run it. It doesn't make any sense to do APL and APLA in the same response builder. You're going to have to do different directives. But as far as I know, and I may be wrong, but as far as I know, it does make sense to add both directives, your APL directive and your APLA directive. But you do have different directives. So you will have to add them separately, but you can add them in the same response. So, and Lady Labs also answered that. Yes, you can add them separately. Backing me up. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Or maybe you came in before me, but I do appreciate that. And Lady Labs also brings up the fact that your APL document can be APL that you generated in code right here, which I have done as well in the past. The thing is that I'm going to say to Lady Labs, I'm going to say to all of you, when you're generating all that APL in your code, you should only really do it when you absolutely have to. If there are a lot of things that you can use, you have conditionals in APL. You can do whens and other things that you can send input to as part of your data payload. And so you can have that in your APL in a separate document, because APL documents, as you've seen, can get pretty long. If you look at the, the pinwheel one that we were working with here, if we go back to the editor, this is 160 lines of JSON. And so if you are putting that 160 lines here in this intent handler, you're going to end up making it hard to really sort of read and follow this code. So I do recommend importing your APL from an external document in some way, whether it's a link to a document out on the web or in the authoring tool, or it's your it's a document right here in your Lambda itself. We can show here. But it makes it a lot easier to read your skill code if you're importing the APL document, because separation of concerns. And data-driven skills is saying, do we put the APL JSON doc in the Lambda function folder? You can. As you can see, I have a document under the Lambda folder. I have a documents folder, and I have pinwheel.json. Now, I could have that pinwheel.json over in the authoring tool, and I could import it from there with a different type of link to bring it in. But I can also require it straight up here. As you can see, I'm using const pinwheel require this document right here. And then I'm just able to put pinwheel in as the document property in the add directive. So you can do it like that. You can have it external. You would, the document, instead of a variable, would be an object that would be type link and then a source property with the URI. I want to say URL and I want to say URI, and then I go URL. URI for the for where the document is on the web. And obviously, if you're hosting that document on S3, you're going to need to make sure that you have cores enabled and other things. So you're saying, where does the document live in the deployed skill? If you do it from the editor and use the special link, you haven't done it that way. It sort of puts things into a documents folder for you, but it's not sort of here in your Lambda. So if you were to download the skill itself, you would find your documents that you saved in the authoring tool for the skill. And TradeLast says, where is the definitive doc for setting up cores in S3? That I will look up. I don't know where the definitive doc is offhand, but I have had to use it. I had to coach people on it in the docs I wrote for, hey, let's see if we can find my docs for SageMaker Ground Truth. No. I will find the actual docs and I will post that link to the APL community Slack in the APL thing. Find. So I'm going to make a note for myself. Find best link for S3 cores. And another thing with that is you'll see here in the utilities, right? With this, you can also, if you're doing Alexa hosted, you can use this utils thing, and it has all the all the different pieces that you need to get a pre-signed URL, so you don't have to make your that bucket public. You can just use this to get a pre-signed URL that gives you permission to use that. And Data-Driven Skill says, change the S3 default security in AWS, you think? Yeah. Lady Labs asks, if you were to download your skill like this. So I can actually download it, and I will continue. Now I should have the pinwheel JSON in the documents folder in Lambda, but I believe there will also be a documents folder in the hierarchy, which will have the one that I created in there. So I'll just put that to my desktop, save. And then we'll just bring this over here so everybody can see. Unfortunately, so the documents, so that is something that I created. And then we have our interaction models custom. It may have overwritten it. I will look into this because I was pretty sure that when I've downloaded this, it's brought in the documents from the editor. Obviously, this may not. I think this is the first time I've used this download from the code editor as opposed to when I've downloaded it in Visual Studio Code. Because when I've downloaded it in Visual Studio Code, it's been slightly different format. But I'm making a note for myself. Where do editor? Actually, we'll call the official name is authoring tool. So I will look into that. All right. And so we are almost at time. I'm going to remind you once more, go over to alexa.design/Slack. And if you're not joined up there, please join up because we're going to move the conversation to the APL channel over there. And I'll see you there in just a moment. I have 3 requests for, I have a request for next week. We'll do an APL with a SVG to APL with a pattern of boxes. We will find, and I will find the best link for S3 cores and answers to where authoring tool docs live and how you download them with your skill. And I will post those to the APL channel. So let's head over to the APL channel now. We can continue the discussion. And thank you so much for joining me. We'll do this again next week, Wednesday, 9 a.m. Let's have some fun.